Welcome to Missouri Sports Talk. I'm your host, Cameron Staley. Today, back with Brutus. Let's just go ahead, jump straight into it. We got to make this one a little bit quick. I'm stressing a little bit. Got a big day today. 8-man scoreboard up on the screen now. You see scores from last week. Archie ends up beating Lockwood on the road, 48-38. Platte Valley, South Nottoway, ends up beating Worth County 12-6. Interesting game. South Holt drops 69 points on Princeton. Bramer ends up winning 52-27. St. Paul only gets 37, only wins by 7, I was trying to say. I actually had them winning by 49, and Schuyler County ends up winning 52-16. Bruce is being very loud today. I'm sorry about that. I don't know. I can't control him. But let's just go ahead straight to the Class 1 scoreboard now. St. Vincent ends up winning 53-0 against St. Genevieve. I had them winning by 2 points, so I had this one being competitive, not competitive whatsoever. South Shelby ends up winning against Harrisburg 60-22. Butler ends up beating North Platte 30-20. Portageville over Kennett 28-6. Lafayette County over Penny 45-6. And Tipton ends up winning 40-7 against California. This one was shocking to me. I knew Tipton going into this game was probably going to win. I had them by 9 points. We were at that game. Go check that out up on the screen right now. Very, very good video, very good game. Tipton community is amazing. They're raising some really good guys out there. Just all around, it was a fun night. It really was, and Tipton ends up winning big. So Class 2 now. Bowling Green ends up winning 56-0 against Clark County. Stratford gets it done 34-22. Brookfield, they end up beating Trenton 35-14. Herman over Montgomery County 26-6. Valley Catholic, of course, gets it done 47-14. That one was a little obvious. And Caruthersville ends up winning by 21 points. That one was an interesting one to me. I actually had them by 14, so I was pretty close on that one. I did not get a single one wrong for Class 2. I need to go back and look. So, Class 1, I got 0 wrong. 8-man, I got 1 wrong. I had Worth County winning. Didn't get that one right. If we move on, Class 3, I'll keep saying the records as we go, and then I'll tell you my total after. Blair Oaks ends up winning 61-12. Holy cow. I had them winning by 32. They won by 39. Seneca ends up getting it done 55-16. Southern Boone gets the upset in my mind. They probably didn't go into that game thinking it was an upset, but they end up getting it done 32-25. Fairgrove ends up winning by 21. Mount Vernon and Aurora, very low-scoring game. It ends up being 7-6. And Central Park Hills, they end up winning 22-13 over Owensville. It makes me question, is Owensville good this year, or is Central just really dropped off from last year? I know they had a lot of good seniors. It's week 1, though, so we can't look too far into it like that. But I want to say I went undefeated in that one as well. Now, I had Odessa winning, so I went 5-1 in Class 3 as well. Class 4 scoreboard on the screen now. Warrenton only ends up winning 17-7. I had them winning by 38 points. A little bit disrespectful to Wright City. I'm sorry about that, but they end up winning by 10 points, getting it done. I had Parkway North winning. They end up losing 28-7. I had Lamar by 1 point. I believe that was our Class 4 game of the week. Lamar gets it done by 3. I had Helias winning by a little more than 11 points, but they get it done at Hannibal. Lutheran North travels down to Alabama. They end up losing 30-12. And MICDS in Hillsboro, this was an interesting one. This one got called by lightning, and there's a lot of drama that night and over the weekend. MICDS had a few guys out on game day visits, so they couldn't do it on Saturday. An agreement ends up not being reached. The game basically gets canceled, and the score ends as 21-14 where they left off, and the rest of the game just doesn't get played. So, interesting one there. I want to say I picked Hillsboro to win and Parkway North to win, so I got 2 wrong in that one. 4-2 in Class 4. If we go to the Class 5 scoreboard now, Seckman wins 40-14. I had Ladue winning. They get dropped by 28. That one surprised me a lot. Webb City, I said they win big. They do win big, 35-13. I had Kearney by 7. They end up blanking Fort Osage, 21-0 on the road. Cardinal Ritter ends up beating Jackson. This was our Class 5 game of the week. I had Cardinal Ritter by 15. They end up winning by 37, I want to say, if I'm doing the math right. And then the last one, absolute blowout. Cape Central wins 42-0 over New Madrid County Central. Long name. I keep tripping every single time I say it. But I actually had Cape Central by 41. They win by 42, so that one's an interesting thing. So I went 5-1 in Class 5. The Class 6 scoreboard now. You see at the top, De Smet wins big, 41-point win. I had them by 31. Nixon Republic, this is an interesting one. I had Nixa by a blowout, uploaded that everywhere, said I had Nixa winning by 28. I had one person not very happy about that one. They actually win by 35, so, I was right. Sorry about it. Oak Park only wins by 7. That one kind of surprised me. Maybe Staley's kind of building something up a little bit better this year than they were last year. Eureka ends up beating Francis Howell. This one surprised me. I'll give my flowers to Eureka. I think they're a good team this year. I just thought that Francis Howell was better. They end up winning 26-7. Rockhurst wins 24-12. That one was expected, honestly. And I actually had CBC by 26 points. They end up winning 45-0. So I want to say that was one more loss tacked on in Class 6. I ended up going 36-6 this week. That is an 85% win percentage. I'm looking to do that again this week. I guess we'll see, though. I'm not fully certain. So let's go ahead and get to the predictions for the week. Let's go ahead and put the 8-man scoreboard up on the screen. Let's start at the bottom. Drexel is hosting Lockwood. This is an interesting one. Lockwood ends up blowing it. They were up pretty big on Archie. Archie ends up coming back. I'm going to take Lockwood in a bounce-back game here. Give me them by 12 points. Plattsburgh versus Knox County if we go to the left. This one, I predicted Knox County to get blown out last week. They actually only end up losing by 7. But I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt again this week. I'm going to take Plattsburgh by 33 in this one. Bramer and Southwest, another blowout in my mind. I'm going to take Bramer by 36. This is where the games start to get at least a little bit interesting. Pattonsburg versus South Holt. This one, Pattonsburg is hosting. I still don't think that this one's going to be insanely close. I'm going to take South Holt by 18. St. Paul versus Northwest. I'm not very familiar with Northwest, if we're going to be honest. I have no clue what they're really all about. So I'm sorry if I make people mad with this one, but I am going to take St. Paul by 22. I did say that St. Paul was going to blow out Knox County last week. They didn't, so maybe I end up getting this one wrong. So I guess we'll see with that. But our 8-man game of the week, it has to be number 1 ranked Archie versus Appleton City. This one is going to be an amazing game. Predictions will be out. I want to say I may do it tonight or I may upload it Friday. I guess we'll see. I've kind of got a messy schedule coming up. I've got a game tonight that I'm going to. I'll say that now. And then probably going to upload that at 10 in the morning maybe. But at 8, I'm going back to Blair Oaks, say hi to the morning news broadcast, special feature. And then actually at 12 o'clock, I'm flying out of Columbia to San Diego. I'm going to go watch Oregon State versus San Diego State this weekend. So I've got a messy plate this week. So, I don't know when I'll do the predictions. That'll be to come in a couple hours. But if you will be seeing this video around like 5, so if you clicked on it right away, then maybe predictions are in 30 minutes for you. I'm not sure though. I guess we'll see. But let's just go ahead, keep going. We got to keep chugging. Let's put up this Class 1 scoreboard. A few interesting games here. I started looking at this scoreboard and I was like, geez, I went 36-6 last week, but some of these games I just feel like I'm going to get wrong. I just had that feeling with these first 3 that you see. So let's start with West Platte and Liberty, of course. I am going to take Liberty Mountain View on the road by 6 points. I think it's going to be a really fun game. I think West Platte was actually this summer voted the best small school stadium in Missouri, so maybe that's a destination that we have later in the year. Russellville versus Van Far. Both of these teams are really solid Class 1 teams this year. I am going to take Russellville by 15 in this one, though. Milan versus North Platte. These were two amazing teams last year. Don't quote me if I'm wrong. I could have sworn that they met in the Final Four. I want to say that they met in the Class 1 Final Four last year. North Platte ended up winning that and then losing to Marionville in the state championship. But I am going to take North Platte in the rematch again. I'm going to take them by 20 points on the road in this one. Marceline versus Gallatin. Gallatin is hosting. I think Marceline's just levels above Gallatin this year. I'm going to take them by 26 in this one. Tipton versus Lincoln. Lincoln is hosting. Tipton showed their teeth last week. I think they're showing that they're a legitimate team. I thought they were going to win by a little bit less than that, but they take down a solid Class 3 team. California is not great, but they're also not bad. But I don't know. They kind of looked pretty bad against Tipton, but I think that's just more Tipton being really good than California being terrible. So I am going to take Tipton again. I'm going to take them by 28 in this one. I'm not going to sleep on them with the point total this time. You're being loud today, and it's making me mad. Just sit down, please. You sit? He doesn't listen. So our Class 1 game of the week brought to you by Blind Hog Barbecue in Tipton, Missouri. It's the squeal deal. It's got to be Adrian versus Warsaw. This is going to be a really fun game. Both teams, I believe they're both in the top 10 for Class 1 this year. It's going to be a fun game. Keep that one in your sights. Let's go to the Class 2 scoreboard now. We got to start with Lamar versus East Newton down at the bottom. I'm picking this one to start off the scoreboard because I think this is going to be the furthest apart game. East Newton ends up winning their first week, but it was against probably the worst team in Springfield Catholic. But, I mean, Lamar showed that they're legit. I'm going to take Lamar by 44 points in this one. Another one that I think is going to be a blowout, Herman hosting South Callaway. Give me the Bearcats by 34 in this one. Montgomery County versus Monroe City. This one I'm kind of iffy about. I do think that Monroe City is going to get this one done by 18 in this one. They got shown up by Valley Catholic this last week. But, I still think that they're a really solid team. So I guess we'll see what's to come for them. Ava versus Logan Rogersville. Logan Rogersville got shut out last week. I want to say that they lost 8-0. And Ava ended up winning big. So, Ava's Class 2. Logan Rogersville's Class 4. I am going to take a lower class upset. Give me the Ava Bears by 16 points in this one. Valley Catholic is hosting St. Vincent. I almost made this one the Class 2 game of the week. I don't know. I just thought that this game wouldn't be as close as the one that I chose. So I'm taking Valley Catholic by 22 points in this one. St. Vincent is a very good team this year, though. I'm not sleeping on them. So I'm sorry to the St. Vincent Indians for picking a not very close game in this one, but I do think that they're going to have a great year. But our Class 2 game of the week, it's got to be East Buchanan versus Savannah. Savannah is Class 4, East Buchanan Class 2. East Buchanan has been absolutely dominant in Class 1 and 2 these past 2 years. I believe that they get this one done. This is the one that I'll say. This is the game of the week that I'll say here on screen right now. I'm going to take them by 8 points. I like East Buchanan this year. Class 3 scoreboard now. We'll start in the top left. Maryville versus Pleasant Hill. Maryville got absolutely killed last week. They lost by 39. Give me Pleasant Hill by 28 in this one. Let's go right below it. Southern Boone versus Mexico. Mexico is my least favorite school in Missouri. I'll say that now. I'll make that very obvious throughout my career. I don't think I'll ever be a fan of Mexico. But I am going to take Southern Boone by 23 in this one. I would love for them to win by more, though. Aurora hosting Nevada. I'm going to take Nevada on the road here, 12-0. Aurora only scored 6 points last week, so, I think the defense is gritty, but Nevada, I think they're just a better team. Owensville versus St. Francis Borgia. This one is an interesting one. Owensville is hosting this game, but I think Borgia is just absolute levels ahead of Owensville. Give me Borgia by 31 in this one. I'm sorry to the Dutchman. Moberly versus Osage. Moberly, I don't know. They were solid last year. They played above their competition, and they're still winning games. But this year, I think they lost a lot of seniors. Their district, actually, there are 7 teams in their district. All of them lost last week. So the district right now is 0-7. I'm going to take an 8th loss. I'm going to take Osage by 21 points. I think they've got a really solid team this year. Expect Osage to make some noise. Our Class 3 game of the week, it has to be Seneca versus Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon, they didn't have the greatest week last week. They ended up getting the win against Aurora. It was 7-6. Very gritty defensive game. Seneca ends up blowing out Cassville. This one's going to be a very interesting game. Seneca is hosting. I guess we'll see. Predictions out tomorrow. Class 4 scoreboard. It has to be Orchard Farm and Pacific there in the top left. We got to talk about that one first. Orchard Farm, very good team this year. I'm going to take them by 24. Next to it, Holt versus North Point. Holt, of course, hosting. And that is the exact reason why I'm going to give them the win here. I took the point total low because I'm really teetering on this one. I'm going to take Holt by 3 points. Right below that, Clayton versus Westminster. I'm going to take Westminster by 13. I think they're just the better team this year. And then Parkview is being hosted by West Plains. This one's an interesting game. I don't think that either team's really amazing this year. I guess we'll see how it goes. But give me West Plains by 6 points in this one. Kirksville versus Chillicothe. This one, both teams great. Truman State's head coach, Nesbitt, ends up leaving, going to coach Kirksville. He's staying in town, and he's actually getting the coach's grandson. So I feel like that ended up being a pretty big reason why. But I think the program's really going to turn around with Coach Nesbitt being there. Give me Kirksville. I'm going to take them by 14 points in this one. And our Class 4 game of the week, it has to be Luther North versus Blair Oaks. That one is tonight at 6 o'clock. Be there. I think it's going to be a great game. Luther North is wearing all black for the first time ever. So, a little blackout theme there in St. Louis. Class 5 scoreboard now. Let's start at the bottom. We've been starting at the top a lot. DeSmet is being hosted by MICDS. Both teams very solid this year. I just think that DeSmet is levels ahead of what MICDS is. I'm going to take them by 19. And speaking of being levels ahead, Webb City being the host to Nixa, I think that they're gonna get their trap stolen tonight. I think tomorrow I should say. Nixa ends up winning by 23 in my books. Fort Zumwalt North versus Francis Howell. This is an interesting one. Both teams were really good last year. Francis Howell ends up coming into the season with a loss to Eureka. I think that they'll be able to bounce back tomorrow, though. Francis Howell by 11 in my eyes. Rochester Rockets, I believe they're in Illinois. They're hosting Cardinal Ritter. Both are very good teams. The Rockets, actually, I think they won the state championship last year, went undefeated. So this is an absolutely crazy game. I probably should have picked this one as Class 5 game of the week, but since it's in Illinois, I'm probably not going to take any out-of-state games as the games of the week. But I am going to take, give me Cardinal Ritter by 35. I think that Cardinal Ritter is going to surprise a lot of people this year, even with them being consensus. Everybody in the media already knows that they're the number one team in Class 5. I think they're going to play better than people expect even. I think they're going to, outperform their already high standards. Eureka versus Marquette. This is an interesting one. Marquette gets the win last week against Hickman. I want to say it was 31-21. Close game. I didn't think that Hickman would keep it that close. Brock Camp had an absolutely insane game. Great player for Hickman. But Eureka actually ends up beating Francis Howell 26-7 it was. So both really good teams this year. I am going to take Eureka at home in this one. Give me Eureka by 10 points. In our Class 5 game of the week, it has to be Grain Valley versus Platte County. Now I forgot to say game of the week matchup graphics will be up on the screen next week. I figure we let 2 games go by so we'd actually have some averages and stuff. And then college football and NFL will start next week with matchup graphics as well. Like I said, it was a pretty stressful week for me, and I don't mean to like rush through this video, but I definitely feel like I am. So I'm sorry about that. But good content will return next week, of course. I just got to get through this weekend. It's not going to be much sleep for me. So I guess we'll kind of see how I'm doing after after Saturday. But our Class 5 game of the week, it's got to be Grain Valley versus Platte County. Both teams, I think they're actually tied for ninth place in the media polls right now. Like they're tied together, same amount of points to the 9 media members. This is going to be a crazy game. I am going to take Platte County on the road. Give me the Pirates by 17. Class 6 scoreboard. Let's go ahead and put that up on the screen. Let's start with Joplin and Lebanon at the top of your screen right now. I'm going to take Joplin by 12 in this one. Lebanon, I feel like, is a okay team this year, but I expect them to start their bounce back in, either next week or 2 weeks. I think it doesn't start with Joplin. And right next to that, Jackson versus Cahokia, I want to say is how you pronounce it. Both really solid teams this year. Jackson got killed by Cardinal Ritter, but it's very obvious how good that the Lions are. So I am going to take Jackson by 8 points in this one. I think it'll be closer than people expect. CBC versus Bryant there at the bottom of the screen. I am going to take the Cadets by 24 in this one. Bryant's a solid team, but CBC is just ahead of a lot of people this year. SLU versus Hillsboro. This is an interesting one. SLU goes up to Chicago against St. Ignatius, I want to say, and they lost by, I want to say it was like 30-something points. So not a good showing for them. Obviously, traveling to Chicago, not an easy thing. So, probably a little bit of tiredness, some fatigue for the junior Billikens. But, Hillsboro, they kind of get screwed over. I'm not certain that they would have won that game. I'm not saying that they would have. But they weren't even given the chance. They didn't get all of the second half. So, both of them are going to come out in this game and have something to prove. But I do have Hillsboro winning this game on the road. I'll take the Hawks by 8 points. Liberty North versus Liberty. I almost made this the Class 6 game of the week, but then I kind of sat back and thought, Liberty North is just, they're a top 3 Class 6 team. They won state last year. Liberty's a good team, but they're just not on the Eagles' level. I'm going to take Liberty North by 25 in this one. That probably wouldn't have been the greatest one for Class 6 game of the week. So I am going to take 2 teams that are receiving votes right now. The Class 6 game of the week is Lee Summit versus Blue Springs. This one, both of them had great weeks last week, and it honestly surprised me. I didn't think that they would both come out and win big like they did. But I guess we're here, and they're the Class 6 game of the week now. So, Lee Summit ends up losing their head coach. I want to say his name's Eric Thomas. He goes back to JC. That's where he graduated. And then the Tigers come out and show that they don't really care. So, big game for those 2 teams. I guess we'll see. But the Missouri game of the week, I already announced it, of course. It's Lutheran North versus Blair Oaks tonight. By the time you see this video, if you click on it right away, I'm already probably almost up to St. Louis, if not there. So, expect a video in the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock range tomorrow of the Lutheran North versus Blair Oaks highlights. Sorry, I almost said headlights. What am I talking about? I need to go. I need to take a breather, edit this video, and relax for a little bit. This has been Missouri Sports Talk. We'll see you next time.